All right, what is up? So here's the two things we're going to be covering today. If you're asking the question, how many calories do I need to eat today? Or how many calories do I need to burn today? Or whatever amount of calories in a day question you're asking. I'm going to be covering that question here today. And I'll give you a hint. The number is not what you think, okay? Because there's one false assumption. And that false assumption is the day. Okay, so when you think 24 hours, like if you ask the question, oh, 24 hours, that's how many calories I need in a day. If you're thinking in a day time frame, it's just the wrong assumption. It's like you're building a building on unsolid ground. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about the psychological reason why counting calories or trying to burn calories, measure calories on a day basis just doesn't work. I'll be talking about how the paradigm shift, how to see it differently, and then lastly, a really practical step you can actually walk away with today, and it involves simply lengthening the amount of time. So, I do want to say quickly to like this video, give it a thumbs up if you're enjoying it, leave a review, message me, I'm here, I will reply. This is an interaction. So the exercise at the end, actually do it then too. All right, so the first thing is realizing I was a wrestler, okay? So wrestling, I would lose weight and I'd calculate, okay, so my weight class was 135. About 3 or 4 days before the event, I might be 2 pounds over. So it was like, okay, how many calories do I need to burn? You know, I knew my resting heart rate. I knew how many calories I burned per day. It was like, okay, here's my calories. Here's how many I need to eat. It was all very mathematical. I'd lose the weight, bam, like clockwork. Guess what would happen the next day? The next week, I'd gain it all back. And I'd do this cycle, this yo-yo cycle for like 4 years in high school. It was, for me it was normal, but I was brainwashed by diet culture, and I didn't know that at the time. After I got unbrainwashed by becoming a monk, different story for another time if you don't know that story, but I became a monk, got rid of all this crap, all the external, no social media, no nothing, 13 months, lived in the wilderness, listened to my body. And guess what? I gained weight. I was 135, now I'm 165, and I feel great. Okay, so this book right here, Intuitive Eating, this is the 3rd edition of it. The headline of it is Make Peace with Food, Free Yourself from Chronic Dieting Forever, and Get to the Natural Weight that Fits You. All right, so when you realize that calorie counting sets you up for failure, and you start embracing the listening to your body mentality, then you can get to your natural weight that's best for you. Now, key thing, your natural weight might not be the Instagram model that you subconsciously want, or the woman on the magazine, or the guy on the magazine. Your ideal body weight might not be like that. But if we're able to see that calorie counting and trying to control our food doesn't help, then we're able to reject that and instead listen within. Now, I know just those two things are not enough to actually get you to take action and take sustainable action, see results. So I'm going to give you some helpful paradigm shifts, because this one woman I was working with, we'll call her Mary, she came to me and she said, I've tried everything under the sun, and don't tell me to calorie count, because I have calorie counted before. I've done food journaling. I've done, MyFitnessPal, the other one, Noom. I've done, there's another fitness thing where you take photos and it tells you your calories of the photo. And she said, I tried all that, and here's the thing, I do it for a week, but then something feels wrong and I don't do it. I stop tracking my calories. So I never stick with it. Can you resonate? Give me a thumbs up if you can. And the thing I talked to her afterwards was like, listen, there's studies that show children will regulate their weight naturally over the course of a week. So they just, pretty simple experiment, they give kids access to food. The kids might overeat some days, and then they might undereat the next few days. But overall, their weight remains stable over the period of a week. And the kid is not it's basically he can have food whenever he wants. Okay, so if you've been raised or conditioned to think that you need to feed your kids, if you don't control your kids, or kids are going to grow up to be fat or whatever if you don't control their food, oftentimes it's the very controlling that is leading to childhood obesity. And if we gave kids freedom to eat when they wanted to and respect for their bodies, they would naturally regulate their weight. So the key thing is realizing when you try to eat, let's say 1,500 calories a day or whatever you're at. It could be 2,000, could be less than that. When you try to eat that amount a day, you're thinking on a daily basis. You're trying to get a even line. But life is never even. The kids would eat too much and then the next day they'd even it out. And after I've embraced this mentality, after Mary has embraced that mentality, sometimes I'll have like 4 meals in a day. Other times I'll have 2. But I have faith in my body. Faith in my body. Listen to that. Faith in my body. My body will regulate itself. I don't need to count. I can listen to my body. And this frees up headspace. All right? So Mary, she's now ditched all the calorie stuff. She's listening to her body and she's making progress. Real progress. Getting confidence in her body. And this is an amazing thing to see. Like, instead of being stuck in yo-yo dieting, she's actually kind of building confidence. It's great. Okay? So those are the two paradigms. That's the paradigm shift I wanted to mention to you. Earlier I said we were going to cover a faulty way of the psychological reason calories counting doesn't work, the paradigm shift, and then also the practical tip, right? So we got the paradigm shift. Drop the calorie counting. Listen to your body. Here's the psychological reason calorie counting doesn't work. It's called the what the hell effect. Documented scientific effect when you feel like a failure. So if you go, let's say your calorie limit is 1,500, you go 1,501, you feel like a failure, you say, oh, what the hell, I already screwed up, I'll get back on track tomorrow. So you say, F it, you overeat even more than you should. So you might eat like 3,000, 5,000, even 10,000 calories in that day. Guess what? Then the next day you say, oh, okay, like, I'll get back on track. So you're 1,500, 1,500, 1,500, 1,501, that turns into 10,000, 1,500, 1,500, 1,500. So you're getting these spikes, and then you're going back down to 1,500. Thinking about it in a day time frame sets you up for failure. Do not think about calorie counting in terms of day. Okay, so now we're going to shift into the practical tip. Practical tip is, first of all, the first practical tip is listen to your body, okay? Trust your body. Learn to listen to your body. That's a separate conversation for another time, listening to your body. But you can listen to your body and trust that it will regulate itself over a week. Now, the practical tip is if you do want a calorie count, which I do not recommend, but here's what you can do. Instead of measuring over 24 hours, measure over a week. Try to listen to your hunger. If you give it some space where you don't have to think in 24-hour time segments, then you have some more space to listen to your body. You might say, oh, my body's really craving food right now, but let's see what happens tomorrow. Maybe I don't want as much food. And when you get that freedom and that mentality of freedom, it totally changes everything in how you relate to food. All right? So I want you to try that tip. I want you to leave me a comment to see how it goes. And then I want you to go to weightlossenlightenment.com/free strategy session. I want us to have a free strategy session where you talk to me about how that went, how that way of thinking differently went. All right? Let me know your thoughts. Leave a thumbs up. Peace. Oh, stop it.